Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. In this video, I'm going to be starting a new series where I teach you guys how to make an egg hatching system on Roblox. Many of you guys asked me to add an egg hatching system to our simulator series, but I decided why not just make one universal series in which you can add it to the simulator game as well as any other projects you have. So let's get started. So we're going to start off by creating the leader stats. So inside a service script service, we're going to be inserting a new script. We are going to call this leader stats and we can get coding. So we're going to get the data store service as well as the player service. Once we do that, let's get our data store by saying local data store is equal to data store service colon get data store, and then coins store 1 is what I'm going to name my data store. Then we are going to say players.player added colon connect function, which will take in a player, and we're going to create our leader stats folder and the player. And leaderstats.name is equal to leaderstats. And we're going to be creating our coins. So local coins is equal to instance.new int value. And we're going to parent this to the leaderstats folder. Coins.name is equal to coins. And coins.value is equal to 0, just like that. Once we do that, we need to create our save data function. So we're going to say function save data, pass through the player. Then we're going to say local success error is equal to pcall function. And we're going to say data store colon set async. And then we're going to pass through the player's user ID as well as player.leaderstats.coins.value. And we're going to check if it was a success. And then we're going to just say player's data was successfully saved. And else if it was an error, we're just going to say print there was an error and then comma error, just like that. And now we need to hook this up, so we're going to say players.player removing colon connect function pass to the player, and we're going to say save data player. We're also going to add one more thing at the bottom of our script. We're going to say game colon bind to close, and then we're going to pass through a function. And we're going to say for I player in players colon get players do. I'm going to say save data and player. So that is it for our leader stats. Let's hop into the game. And we can see that we joined the game with 0 coins. That means our leader stats are working perfectly. Now, if I leave the game, there should be an error. And that is because we did not go inside of the game settings and click on security and tick these 2 boxes. So make sure you do that. Once you do that, all your data should be working perfectly. So now that we have created our data, I'm going to be pasting in my egg model. But right before I do that, inside of the workspace, I'm going to be inserting a folder, and I'm going to be naming this folder egg models. And inside of there, let me just paste in my little egg model. Now you guys may be like scared, like, oh wow, I don't know really how to create this, but let me just show you guys how to create it. So the first thing that you guys want to do, you want a top, a bottom, and a glass. Now how I made this glass is that it's just a very simple cylinder part. I set the material to glass and the transparency to 0.85. So that's how you make like this transparent glass look. And there's also an egg mesh inside of here. Now one cool little tip for y'all out there is that if you want this egg directly centered inside of this glass, what you can do is select the egg mesh and then also select the glass, and then you can click on the model tab and then the align tool. And so if you want to align it directly in the middle, you want to select X, Y, and Z. Once you do that, it will align it perfectly. Now nothing happened because I already did this, but that's just a little tip anytime you want to center it. I also have this little price indicator that just has a surface GUI called main, a frame called frame, and then this currency and price labels. As you guys can see, you can customize it how you want. Make sure you have a price indicator though, because it will be really helpful for the players and for our coding. But yeah, so this is going to be our egg model. Now let's create the billboard GUI. Alright, so what we're going to do is that inside of starter GUI, I'm going to be inserting a screen GUI. I'm going to be naming this egg GUIs, and I'm going to turn on ignore GUI inset. Inside of here, I'm going to be adding in a billboard GUI, and I'm actually going to set the adorny to our egg mesh so we can see it. Also make sure to turn on always on top so you can actually see the blue outline. For the size, I'm going to be setting the size to 5, 0, 7, 0. I felt like this is a good size. The max distance I'm going to be setting to 25, and the light influence I'm going to set to 0. Now, once we do that, I'm going to be inserting a frame inside of here. I'm going to be naming this container. And I'm going to be setting the size to 1, 0, 0.75, 0. And I'm going to duplicate this frame, name it buttons, and I'm going to be setting the size of it to 1, 0, 0.2, 0, and setting the position to 0.8, so it looks like that. I think we should start off with making the buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the background transparency 1, and I'm going to be inserting a UI list layout into here, and I'm also going to be adding in a text button, just like that. I'm going to be setting the size of this text button to 0.27, 0, 0.85, 0, just like that. And for the UI list layout, I'm going to set the padding to 0.05, 0, set the fill direction to horizontal, set this to center and this to center, so everything is looking good. Back to the text button, I'm going to be naming this text button R. And what we're going to do is delete all the text from it. And then what we're going to do, we're going to change the background color to a full green. That is what I'm going to do. And we're going to be inserting 2 text labels into it. I'm going to be naming one of them keybind, and I'm going to set the text to R, and I will set the size to 1, 0, 0.7, 0. And that will be it for the keybind. Now for the text label, I'm going to be setting this size to 1, 0, 0.3, 0, and setting the position on the Y to 0.7. And I'm going to change the description of this to say auto. And let's name it desk. And let's just customize it the way that we want it. And there you go. So that's going to be our R key. We're going to name one called T. And we're just going to do the exact same thing. For the description, we're going to say X3. And then I'm going to be duplicating this. And then let's get the middle one. Let's call this E. And I'm actually going to be changing the size to 0.3, 0, actually 1.1, 0. So it's a little bigger, like that. And I'm actually just going to set this to 1, so it's a little bigger. And let's change the keybind to E, and the description to x1, just like that. And that's all of our buttons done. Once we did that, we're actually going to be working on our container. So let me prep that. So inside of the container, let's add in another frame. This will be called main frame. And we're actually going to be setting the size to 0.8 on both the X and Y. We're going to make it anchored on 0.5, 0.5, and setting the position to 0.5, 0, 0.55, 0. Once we do that, I'm going to be inserting a text label inside of the container, and I'm going to be naming this egg name, setting the size to 1, 0, 0.1, 0. And I'm going to set the text as basic egg. And I'll just change that to Fredoka1, just like that. And once we do that, let's hop back into the mainframe and let me add in a UI grid layout and another frame. I'm going to be naming this frame template. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the background color so you can see that a bit better. For the UI grid layout, we are going to set the cell size to 0.3, 0, 0.3, 0. And we're going to set the alignments to both center. And that should be it. Back to our template. We are going to be inserting a viewport frame as well as a text label. The text label is going to be called rarity. Let's remove the background transparency from it. And we'll set the size to 1, 0, 0.3, 0. And we'll set the position on the Y to 0.7. And it's just going to say something like 50% for its rarity. So let's just do that. And yeah. And then what we're going to do is actually, for the viewport frame, we're going to set the size to 1, 0, 0.7, 0. And I'm going to set the background transparency to 1. And that is just going to be it for that viewport frame. And yeah, that's really going to be it. Let me change the font face of this to Fredoka1. And yeah, now let's style everything up with some UI corners. So for the template, let's insert a UI corner. Let's set the corner radius to 0.1, 0. So that looks cool. Let's copy it and disable this template. For the main frame, I'm gonna have as 0.025, 0. Actually, we don't even need one for it because it's hidden. For the container though, I'm going to set it as 0.025, 0. And then for each button, which I'm just going to paste in, we're going to have it as 0.1, 0, and that is already done. So yeah, let's hop into the game. And when we should, from a distance, we can't see it, but when we come close, we do. So that is awesome. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for this video. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!